Hello students, welcome to iQuanta. Today I am going to discuss how to decode CLAT Quant. That is also step by step. So if we talk about the syllabus of Quant, there are so many things to learn, right? There are percentages, profit, simple interest, compound interest, averages, mixture allegation, time, speed, distance, time and work, and these are only part of arithmetic. If you talk about basic number system, basic algebra, basic geometry, clocks and calendar, lots of topics are there. So many topics that if you start with them, you get confused which to start first and which not to start first. So what do we need to do? First, try to understand the important topics of your syllabus. Try to understand the pattern. So the latest pattern as per CLAT Quant is 10 to 14 questions, right? And if not done properly, out of 120 questions, if quant questions are only 10 to 14, if not prepared in well-mannered way, students might lose their interest in this section very soon. But if you are interested in cracking this section, if you want to do well in this section, then let me tell you that is very easy. And once you start preparing, there is no looking back, because as per the latest pattern, what I have seen is most of the questions are from maximum 2 to 3 topics, maximum, which is percentages, profit and loss, averages. These are the topics that you should be focusing on. Apart from that, you can focus on some more topics of arithmetic, but rest of the topics are not that important. And from these topics, you are not going to find 10 different questions, 12 different questions, so that you will have to approach each questions differently. Questions are coming in a set of 5 questions, which is also known as data interpretation sets. All of these questions are based on basic concepts. So first we will try to learn some basic concepts based on percentages, and then we will try to discuss a set how to use those concepts. So first of all, how do we say that what is percentages? Percentages means if I say x percent means x upon 100. X percent of y, what do we mean by x percent of y? It means that it's x upon 100 into y. Now if I want to find, let's say 10% of something, so 10% of 70, what do we mean by that? 10% is nothing but 10 upon 100 into 70. Now 10% is nothing but 1/10, so this is equal to 7. But if I want to find 11% of 70, so how do we do that? 11% of 70 means, now 10% is 1/10 of this. 1/10 is 7. And 1% will be 1/10 of 10%, right? So 1/10 of 7 will be 0.7. So that gives us 7.7. Now if I want to find 23% of this number, 23% of 70, what do we call 23%? How do we find? So we can break this 23% as 20% plus 3% of 70, right? And in that case, what is 20%? 20% is nothing but 1/5. 20% means 20 upon 100, which is equal to 1 upon 5, right? So what will be 1 upon 5 of 70? It's very easy. 70/5 is 40. Now think about this. What is 10%? We need to find 3%, right? Can we say that if I find 20%, what will be 1/10? Means 2% of this number. That will be 1/10 of 14, which is 1.4. Now 3% is 1.5 times of that. So 1.5 times of 1.4 is 2.1. So add 2.1. This gives us 16.1. ना कुछ लोग ये भी सोच रहे होंगे कि सर बहुत ही इजी कैलकुलेशन को आपने मुश्किल कर दिया है ना? तो ऐसी बात नहीं है. देखो ये जो ब्रेक करने वाली मेथड है, दैट इज यूजफुल इन लॉन्ग रन. Right now this number 70 is smaller, this 23 is very convenient, that's why it looks easy to calculate directly. But think about, if instead of 70 if it's 172, instead of 23 if it's 22.5, then how do you calculate that? So in that situation you can break these numbers and calculate easily. Okay, now apart from that, some conversion you should know, that is, what is 1 by 2? So 1 by 2, if you want to convert any fraction into percentage, then multiply it by 100. So 1 by 2 into 100 is equal to 50%. What is 1 by 3? So 1 by 3 into 100 is equal to 33.33%. What is 1 by 4? So 1 by 4 into 100 is equal to 25%. Meaning, if it's mentioned in the question that you need to find 25% of a number, you can just find 1 by 4th of that number. What is 1 by 5? So 1 by 5 into 100 is equal to 20%. Similarly, what is 1 by 6? This is 16.66%. 1 by 8 is equal to 12.5%, and 1 by 10 is equal to 10%. So you should know some conversion, so that if this percentage is mentioned, you can use this fraction. If this fraction is mentioned, you can use this percentage as per the requirement. Apart from that, if I need to find that a number is what percent of other number, like x is what percent of y, how do we calculate that? X is what percent of y? So x by y into 100%. This will be our method. Finding like 20 is what percent of 25? So how do we calculate? 20 upon 25 into 100. This gives us 4, which makes it 80%. Right? Now, in another case, if I want to ask 20 is what percent less than 25? Or let's say x is greater than y. So x is what percent less than y? So what we do? We find the difference, y minus x, divide by y into 100. So x is what percent? Sorry, in this case, x is greater. We should take x is less than y. So if x is less than y, x is what percent less than y? Y minus x upon y into 100. Y is what percent more than x? So we need to do again the same thing, y minus x, but now we are finding y is what percent with respect to s. So in denominator it will be x and not y. So these are two different things. Remember, x is what percent of y is what percent of x is what percent less than y is what percent less than more than x. All of these are different things. Okay, now let's come to profit and loss. A little basic concept of profit and loss. What do we know? That selling price is equal to cost price plus profit. Then we can say selling price is equal to cost price minus loss. And if I want to find profit percentage, this will be equal to profit upon cost price into 100. If I want to find loss percentage, this will be equal to loss upon cost price into 100. So this is how you can find profit percentage, loss percentage. Now in case of cost price, selling price, some other terms are also used in the question. Like for cost price, sometimes expenditure is mentioned. Whatever is the expenditure is the cost price. Or the investment is mentioned. Investment is same as the cost price. Other than that, if you talk about turnover, what is turnover? Turnover nothing but selling price. If we talk about revenue, what is revenue? Same thing as selling price. Okay, so I hope you understood these basic concepts. Now only basis of that, I will tell you how to solve one of the previous year questions that has come in CLAT. Such as this question. In this question is from CLAT 2022. An Indian company having its registered office at Gurugram is engaged in manufacturing of consumer goods at Noida. The goods manufactured by the company are sold in Indian market and exported to Europe. Good. Company produces five products. Company produces five products, namely P, Q, R, S, and T. Total production of the company for the financial year 2021-22 is 3000 tons. This is the amount of, this is the volume of total production done. And the turnover, as I said, the turnover means total revenue, total selling price of the company is 50 million. Now again, what is million? You should know 1 million is basically 10 to the power 6, okay, which is 1,000,000. 10 lakhs. So basically the total turnover is 50 into 10 lakhs, or you can say it 5 crores in rupees. An analysis of the production and net revenue generation shows that production of the product P is 21% of the total production and 18% of the turnover is attributed to product P. Then it says production of Q is 16% of the total production and 17% of the turnover is attributed to Q. Same information has been given for R, same information has been given to S, and same information has been given to T. Okay. Now, see, it's already mentioned that company produces 5 products only, P, Q, R, S, T. The total has been given. So even if data of one of the companies was not given, we could have found out the rest, right? For the 5th product. But you can understand the level of the question in this way, that data of all 5 companies has been mentioned. So let's check the questions. Question first says, what is the percentage of profit earned from sale of R if expenditure? So selling price, cost price, right? Which product has the highest selling price? How much loss is incurred to the company? We need to find the loss. We need to find the total turnover for T. We need to find the total expenditure of T. What percentage of turnover of R has to turnover of T? We need to find the ratio here. What is the average selling price per ton? So again, we need to find the average here. Okay. So let's see what can we do in this question. So company PQRST, it's advisable to make a table like this when situations are like this given. Total production is given, which is 3000 tons. Total turnover is given, which is 50 millions. Now, it says that production of P is 20% of the total production. What is 20% of 3000? What is 20%? So 21 by 100 into 3000, right? 21 by 100 into 3000. So this is cancelled out. This will be 630. So we can put 630 here. In case of, and 18% of the turnover is attributed to product P. 18% of 50. So what will be 18% of 50? So 18 by 100 into 50. Now see, in this case, I can also write it as 50 divided by 100 by 2, and this will become 9. So this will be 9 millions or 90 lakhs. Production of Q is 16% of the total production. 16%. वैल्यू को 100 से डिवाइड करो, कितना मिल रहा है? 30 into 16, 480. And 17% of the turnover. तो 50 को 100 से डिवाइड करो, कितना मिल रहा है? 2. 17 को 2 से डिवाइड कर दो. 8.5 million is the turnover for Q. R accounts for 18% of the production. 1% कितना है? 30. 30 into 18. So 540 tons is the production. 20% क्या होता है? 20% अभी देखा हमने. 20% is nothing but 1 by 5. So 1 by 5 of 50 is 10. फिर क्या, S की बारी आई. S accounts for 20%. 1/5. 1/5 of 3000 is 600. And then 25% of the turnover. What is 25%? 1 by 4. 1 by 4 of 50 is 12.5. Then comes T. Now, as I was saying, total is given. We have 4 values. Can't we find the 5th value? Yes, total is given. 4 values given. We can find the 5th value. But already values are given. T accounts for 25% of the total production. 25% is 1/4. 1/4 of 3000 is 750. 20% of the turnover, which is again 1/5, which will be 10. So we have production of each of these products, turnover of each of these products in the session 2021-22. Now let's solve this question one by one. We should be able to solve this question very easily now. Question number 1. What is the percentage of profit earned from sale of R if the expenditure incurred on production of R is 15,000 per ton? Can we say what will be total expenditure? Total expenditure will be equal to 540 into 15,000, which is equal to 54 into 15. How do you multiply? 54 into 10 is 540. 54 into 5 is 270. Add that, 810. Then 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, which is nothing but, can I write it as 8.1 into 10 to the power 6? Means this is basically 8.1 million, right? 8.1 million in rupees. Now in case of R, total turnover is 10. How do we calculate profit percentage? So profit percentage is equal to the difference between the expenditure and the total turnover. So expenditure is 8.1, turnover is 10, the difference is 1.9. 1.9 divided by the cost price. Remember, we just discussed this. So expenditure or cost price, same thing. Divide this. This is 1900 upon 81%. Now if we calculate this, 81 into 2 is 162. 28 is the remainder. So 280. Now we multiply it by 3. So we get 243. 280. Do we need to calculate further? Let's check the options. 23 point something. Only one option is there. So we don't need to calculate further. Don't waste your time here calculating this value. Check the options. And you can save your precious time. Now, second question. It says which product has highest selling price per ton? Highest selling price. This turnover is nothing but selling price, right? This turnover is nothing but selling price. Selling price per ton. Now, see, we don't need to find what is the selling price per ton. We just need to find which one is the highest. So basically, it's all about comparison. So let me tell you one thing. If I ask you that out of these 4 lines, which one is of biggest length? So you will tell me this one, right? But do you know the lengths of these lines? No. But तब भी हमने आंसर दे दिया कि यार ये वाला मैक्सिमम है. क्यों है? क्योंकि ये दिख रहा है. कंपेयर कर लिया हमने इन चारों को एक दूसरे से. वैल्यूज नहीं भी मालूम है तो भी मैं कह सकता हूं कि ये मैक्सिमम है. वही चीज हमें यहां पे करनी है कि हमें कंपेयर करना है, हमें एग्जैक्ट वैल्यू नहीं निकालनी है. तो हमें चाहिए क्या? हमें चाहिए प्रोडक्शन दिया हुआ है, टर्नओवर दिया हुआ है. वी वांट T अपॉन P, राइट? दिस विल गिव अस द factor, the deciding factor that will tell us the highest selling price per ton. So in case of Q, it's 8.5 divided by 480, right? Which I can write, this will be 55 So 17 upon 960. In this case, this will be 10 upon 540, which is equal to 1 by 54. Now again, remember, this is not the selling price per ton. Okay, for this we will have to multiply all of these values by 10 to the power 6 and calculate the exact value. But we don't want that. We don't want the exact value. We just want to compare and find the highest one. So these are only the deciding factor that will tell us which one is highest or lowest. In case of S, 12.5 upon 600. So this will be 1 by 48. This will be 10 upon 750, which is equal to 1 by 75. Now check which one is the highest. Whatever denominator is least, that will be the highest, right? Overall value. So in this case, this value is bigger than this one and this one because denominator is smaller, right? 1 by 2 is greater than 1 by 3. 1 by 3 is less than this. Why? Because denominator is smaller. Now, let's compare this one. What we need to find, see, if it was 850, so 17 upon 850 would have been 1 by 50. So this value is smaller than this one. So we can also discard this one. So our answer is option C, which is S. देखो कितनी जल्दी हो गया ये. तो अप्रोच बहुत ही जरूरी है कि सही अप्रोच हो यहाँ पे. अदरवाइज अगर हम वैल्यू कैलकुलेट करें फिर फाइंड करें कौन सा हाईएस्ट है कौन सा लोएस्ट है, फिर तो भैया दिन बीत गया है ना, फिर तो हुआ एग्जाम. हाउ मच लॉस इज इनकर्ड टू कंपनी if the expenditure on production of tea was 20,000 per ton? In case of tea, what will be total expenditure? Total expenditure is equal to 20,000 per ton into 750 tons. So 150,000,000, which is equal to 15 millions. So this is our expenditure. What is our turnover? Turnover is only 10 million. So what's the loss? We know that loss is equal to turnover minus expenditure. So turnover is 10. Sorry, loss is cost price minus selling price, right? Because in case of loss, turnover will be big, not turnover. Expenditure will be bigger. So expenditure minus turnover. Expenditure is 15, turnover is 10. This is 5 million. So our answer is option A. All right. Now, next question, it says what percentage of turnover of R has to turnover of T? So turnover of R, turnover of T. Can we say turnover of R upon turnover of T into 100? This is what we need to find, right? What percentage of turnover of R has to turnover of T? Okay, we need to find turnover of R with respect to T. I guess turnover of R, yeah. We need to find the turnover of T with respect to turnover of R. What percentage of turnover of R has to turnover of T? So T का turnover R का कितना परसेंट है ना? So this is 10, this is also 10 into 100. So this is cancel out. Our answer is 100%. We could have easily done this, that both of these are equal. So each value is 100% of the other. But it's not just about solving this. I am telling you the method that you should use to solve the question. So we had just learned that x is what percent of y? X upon y into 100. This is what we have used here. What should be in the numerator? What should be in the denominator? There are lots of confusion regarding that in students. So that should be clear to you. Okay. Now next question. What is the average selling price per ton of all products taken together? Average selling price. What is selling price? This is our selling price, the turnover. Can we say the average selling price will be total selling price which is 50 into, so 50 million, the value given is in rupees, not in million rupees, only in rupees. So 50 million is basically 50 and 6 zeros divided by, what is the total production? This is 3000 tons. This is cancelled out. We get 50,000 by 3, which is 16667. Right. So if you check the options, option D is our answer, 16,667. Okay. So with that, we are done with our session, that how should we approach with quant of CLAT. I hope you got to understand lots of things that will be helpful when you start solving this type of questions. Okay, let me know your feedback in the comments. Thank you.